Hello, my good people. This is Oseko. Of course, you come sending Kipanyara. What's up, Wadao? This is Oseko. But anyway, this is Oseko Samson. Of course, my surname is Yabaro. And today, we're going to talk about politics. And of course, we said yesterday, whenever we want to do something, we must do it from the local to the national, then we go up to the international levels. Of course, today we are going to talk about politics. We want to talk about at the local politics, we want to talk about the national politics, and at the other end, we must say we also must talk about the international politics. Back to Kisii now, when we now start to talk about our local politics around, you want to talk about governorship actually in Kisii. Itakuwa a very serious race this time round. And of course, governorship kiangalia vizuri this time round ni kinyang'anyiro kidogo. Of course, we have a sitting governor na kutoa sitting governor sometimes it's very hard. Simba Arati has very serious and very competitive competitors. Of course, tunaambiwa hata women rep wa Kisii County Donya Toto, of course, this time round maybe atakuwa kwa gubernatorial seat race. And of course, Onyonga is a senator too, give an hint of fighting for this seat too. Of course, we have the current governor, and of course, wale ambao mnapitanga around Kisii town, you will see Kevin Arwas actually is investing much in politics. Maybe you never know what that man is thinking about politics of Kisii County. You see? And of course, if we can maybe consider if we want to consider maybe the performance of Simba Arati, and if we can consider Simba Arati's work on maybe on what he has done, maybe that can give him high chances of winning the election come 2027. Of course, people do say Simba Milala kidogo, like the hearsay of what people think about Simba and what he's doing as a governor. Of course, we have seen, but then if we rush back, I will repeat, when he was sworn in, he started at a very high speed. And actually, people from around Kenya, they were saying like, hey, can somebody hire Simba for like 3 days only in our county so that he can clean all the mess that were left with the previous governors, those who served during the 2017-2022 duration. Of course, there was so much corruption in counties. And of course, when Simba was sworn in, he did much. That's true. He did much. He made sure that there were those, we call them shadow workers, how we call them? Okay, there were those who were employed, they are not they are just in the payroll. Others are old, wazee wengine they were deaf. Others were just opaque workers, they were not doing up in work. Of course, we know those are politicians who use fake ideas and fake information to earn government money. And of course, we saw in the stadium, Simba was very seriously telling everybody stand. But the one of the very interesting things he did, it was when he came to realize that there were so many drivers who were employed by Kisii County government during Ongwai's tenure in office, and he told everybody to line up in his car that he was driving. Others were left without cars to drive. Of course, they were sent home. But along the way, he also did much of the stuff when he was in an pipe. The unattached pipe fact also also made it, and actually that's one of the very serious things Simba did, and it created so many enemies because so many people were stealing money from the health sector, of course, from the medicine and needs to the supply to various levels of hospital around Kisi County. And of course, when Simba came to fight the corruption in hospitals, he created so many enemies. And of course, when we talk about uh, generally we can look, he has done something in the health sector, of course, we can't deny. But okay, in roads also, he has done something good, of course, in roads. But I don't know, why do people complain that Simba doesn't work? But okay, he promised much, but he has delivered less than expected. Of course, his excuses are that the government doesn't give that much money. Okay, but now Simba is in government. Of course, Odia is in government. I don't know why he has not performed like the other Nyanza governors are doing, like the Homa Bay, in Kisumu and Siaya. Those counties are actually improving. And maybe they say they are doing so well than expected. Okay, I don't know what's happening with Kisa actually. And of course, we said we are going to touch on national matters. Of course, Kidogo, we're going to talk about the Siaya governor, numbers in parliament, of course, and the occupation of seats in the parliament, both in the Senate and in the national parliament, where the MPs now sit. Yeah, in a couple of days, like since CI governor went to State House, he went missing after going out of State House, of which we never knew the hear about the governor. He has went missing for some good time until when one of the fine citizens raised the alarm that the governor is missing actually. He went missing. And of course, on Friday, when Fibia Siaya was going to be parried, Governor the governor of Siaya and the James Orengo, I came to the funeral. That of course gave people hope that he was doing well. Of course, for those who watched, they can realize that the governor was not that strong compared to how we knew him before. And definitely we realized that he came late. Actually, he was not a super president. James Orengo is very fun actually. But of course, that's not according to the protocol observations. It's not good when a governor comes late to a function and yet the president is already present. It's actually bad manners, we can say, according to one those who follow protocol observations. But of course, when he arrived, if the president stood to greet him, I already say to welcome him, those two Papa stood to welcome him, and those all leaders who were present, of course. But now, I just want us to understand from this one issue. You know, even if Ruto stood to welcome Governor Rengo deep down, of course, as political leaders have said, like they don't bring political issues to their hearts, of course. But then it was somehow bitter to President Ruto to accept what President and what the TCI Governor James Orengo did. And of course, it's only that now President Ruto is in a political orphan. He doesn't have anything to do. Otherwise, he should accept every mistreatment or maybe anything wrong that he may receive from the ODM people. Because since he wrote support from the Mount Kenya region, it's only depending on Raila Amolo Odinga and the Nyanza people to support him during the 2027 general elections. You see, because of the numbers from the Ruland, President Ruto must remain calm. If you see what Orengo and some other ODM leaders, of course, and Takina Sifuna, what they are saying, but he can't respond to them because he knows if he responds, something bad may happen and he may lose the support from the ODM people. And maybe if we want to talk now about the numbers, okay, by the way, we want to talk about something numbers in parliament. Because now we don't know if there is opposition, if we have opposition, if they have to opposition in both houses of parliament, the Senate and the National Assembly. Of course, we know, like in Amido Diambo and the rest of those who are in ODM, the majority of them now they have shifted to supporting the government, of which we know now that the numbers that are on any that they are in opposition, and maybe let's say that any 3/4 of the whole house support the government. So it's now a quarter. It's not the numbers that also that are still supporting the opposition, of course. And both in okay, if we now shift to the Senate, we find that even those people who are also supporting the government others have turned back to join the opposition. They need just say like they need um, this man from Luyaland who is called Karuare Pony. Pony Karuare is I think is the majority leader. If I'm not wrong, if not his majority, something. He has a seat within the Senate, of course, but we see him seriously criticizing the government of what we may not know the reason why he's doing that. You see, as he has it, maybe that they need the President Ruto is no longer supported with people in Kenya, or maybe he has his own reasons why he is opposing the government in Nicaragua, because we know that Karol is one of the people who are seriously supporting the government during the campaign season and maybe the starting of the 2022, 2023 there, but I don't know why he reached and started to turn back to support the opposition. If I was the president of Kenya. And of course, we want to talk about the Nini President Ruto's Nini is trying so much, by the President Ruto is trying so much to make the HSCs believe that he is not a bad guy. Of course, if you have seen, he has spent much of the money to build the stadium. Of course, he knows that whatever youth like is the internet, of course. But of course, we don't enjoy much from the internet because he promised us free Wi-Fi around the streets. But of course, you can see. But then you see, no, we don't pay. We do pay. Kenya today. We do pay. Let me do something here. We do pay actually for the smart internet around the streets. And of course, he also promised. By the way, I remember he was saying like, oh, we're gonna be making free calls. You no longer be using airtime to make calls, but it has never been. I don't know what he made exactly. It's like the story ya gas mtungi, alikuja akasema baadaye ni mtungi sasa ndio inashuka hadi 600. Of course hata mtungi you can't buy mtungi hadi 600. But of course we're gonna talk about also he has also built the stadium to promote sport, and because he has known that the youths like sports mostly, and definitely has also by today on August 9, he hosted a good number of youths from Nairobi, actually, the areas around Nairobi. Of course, we got a youth empowerment program. We don't know why he gets the money to buy all those machines for those who watch his videos. He actually put so many machines, including blow dries, generators, car wash machines. He also bought, what did I see, motorbikes, over 300 of them. By the of course, a motorbike is very expensive now. It costs almost 180,000. Them 300,000 a lot of money. And yet, the legislature, of course, the parliament has not the budget to promote the empowerment programs that are still being carried out around the nation. And of course, I think that's what he has done so far so good to make sure that he at least brings the friendly environment between between him, the president, and the youth of this country. Okay, and also we have to talk about and by the way, have you known that Gachagua and Matiang'i now this their second, let me see, if the second or the third week, they are still in America doing, I don't know whatever they are doing in America, but they are seriously seeking support from the US people. Okay, those are Kenyans who are staying in the US, and they are stayed there for 2 weeks. Of course, everybody's doing his own meetings in the USA. Gachagua went, and Matiang'i also followed. They are doing several meetings day and night, Washington D.C., the New Jersey, and other places within the United States of America. And of course they have gone there for financial support. That's true because I heard the last time that Matiang'i went to America, and of course those who went to meet him, they were paying something around $500 each, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, something like $500 each. That's the amount they were charged to get the ticket to go to the meeting room. And the Gashok, of course, so that man is very silent in a way, like in saying his financial status and how he can raise the monies during the campaigns. Of course, we know they are there in America, of course, to raise money for the campaigns. And of course, we're gonna take on like, okay, the issue about the support in Kenya. They have tried so much to make the government feel that Kenya doesn't need them no more. That's what they've actually done. So far, so good. And you want to talk about now when you go to the international politics, of course, Kenya still included. You, for those who have just been watching news, um, USA has raised concerns about the Kenya China interrelationship, of which Americans don't want competition of at all. The Americans don't want competition at all. And if they have seen that many of the countries they are now going to borrow, and maybe they have allowed the Chinese to invest much in their countries, that now brings out of fear to they have now put out of fear to the people in America. We have seen the other day the the Senate in charge of international affairs, actually, I may say international affairs. Of course, in Kenya, we have somebody who's called Mudavadi, who is in charge of the diaspora affairs. To the Senate of America was also said that Kenya should now declare whether they are in multilateral, they have multilateral and any business issues with the Chinese, and of course we benefit much. Actually, we as Kenyans we benefit much from the US people, which we know we have any special base, military base in Kenya, of which helps us much because we know we get support from America to support our military back in Kenya. And okay, security matters are not that much exposed, but we know Americans support Kenya so much in terms of politics. But now it has an issue that well, our president defended and said like Kenya is a sovereign country. Okay. When we a country enjoys sovereignty within a country, it means like it's an independent. They can make their own decisions whatsoever. It's a good all parties. Nobody who should come to ask like, why are you doing this? Because we as country we have sovereignty, and of which the Americans are okay. They have raised concern because they have seen also a very competitive country like China, of which is very productive in terms of in production of machines. They have now invested much in other countries. They may come to overthrow them sometimes later because they have unajua power. And if I may educate you a little bit, is that power belongs to the numbers and money. You see? You see? Power and money. That is what brings what we call Sunninite that makes in the USA a superpower country because they have money and they have what? Okay. In each other, they have money and support, of course. But also China has emerged as one of the strongest countries also in the world. Of course, they have money and they have numbers. You see? So to overthrow them also it's easy. If Chinese can be very serious, okay, maybe later the 200 years from now, maybe you're gonna get it. USA is no longer a superpower country because other powers are also raising very seriously, maybe in terms of mambo ya vita silaha, in the manufacture of nini mambo ya nini weapon and money. We're gonna talk about also in the we're gonna talk about within the president of Burkina Faso. The president of Burkina Faso also, who is Traore. He was a military guy who was organized a military coup, of course, and made the president to resign, and he took power and he resumed office and actually is now the president of Burkina Faso. But since he became a president, he has done so much in transforming Burkina Faso. Now the Burkina Faso people are so happy because like whatever they're enjoying now, they have waited for so long time to get. Of course, he has promised to make sure that the agricultural sector improves, which is good thing. The security, of course, is a military guy, of course, to make sure that the borders are well safeguarded. It's not it's just a simple thing to him actually to do because he's also a man in uniform, but also sitting in as a president. And of course, he has done away with those people who are investing, who are coming to take their minerals and with no profit. Of course, maybe they could not gain something good from them. Yeah, he actually sent away all those companies that were mining minerals in Burkina Faso. But also, for those who are watching news, you can get that Traore he signed an MOU with the president of Russia, who is the name of the president of Burkina Faso is called. Okay, I can't recall of now, but then he signed an MOU of which we can realize that he has also thrown away some other powers that were investing in the country. And of course, we know Russia can give maybe financial support and security support in case they are attacked by other superpower countries. So they are well to do. Actually, President Trade is doing so many things to make sure that Burkina Faso is respected as a country. You see, and maybe I don't want to know what else. If I go to update you guys, and of course, this is Oseko. We're gonna be posting this kind of materials in YouTube at the direct Oseko. Smart Few Studios chama films wana ikifika ile time tutakuwa tunachapa sasa story ya live on here. And we wanna be posting on TikTok at the Director Seco, also in Facebook at the Director Seco. So guys, the only thing you can do for us today is go and follow me on TikTok, follow me on Facebook, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is a very young channel at the Director Seco. YouTube, of course. You'll be subscribing for me and support. And we may not be doing something very nice to promote me, and maybe the community at large must gain from what people do within the place. Let me know from your side. I really need those who can make good stories and maybe create headlines so that we can discuss. And of course, if you want wish that I may host you in this program, just text me. I'm ready available to host you guys. Thank you so much for listening to me.